Hello. Hi, this is Bennett Tchaikovsky, and welcome to yet another Accounting After Dark bootleg intermediate accounting edition. This is KESO Problem 17E, KESO 17th edition, Problem 1811. So here we got a company, Torville Construction Company. They were building an office for $1.9 million, and then they're saying here on July 1st, it was going to take between 2 to 3 years to complete. And then on December 31st, the building was deemed to be substantially completed, following the accumulated contract costs incurred and the like. So we're being asked to use percentage of completion for 2020. Okay, so if you join me on my other video, the way we're going to be doing this is that we're going to basically say over here is my percentage completion is going to be my total contract cost to date. And this is going to be divided by my total contract cost to date plus my estimated cost to complete. Okay, so right over here is that my total contract cost to date were $300,000. Okay, and I'm dividing this over here by my total contract costs incurred to date plus my estimated cost to complete the contract plus 1.2 million over here, or this is going to be roughly 20%. Okay. So right over here, as of the end of 2020, I am roughly 20% complete. So what I need to do, go through and do at this point, is I need to say, okay, I'm 20% complete as of the end of 2020, so I can recognize 20% of the contract or 20% of the gross profit for this contract. So to determine that, I'm going to take my total contract price, which here is going to be 1.9 million. I'm going to be dividing this by the total contract cost to date plus the estimated cost to complete, which is going to be 1.5 million. So at this point in time, I'm kind of estimating that my total gross profit from this to my total estimated gross profit is going to be $400,000. So my percentage complete to date is going to be 20%. So my total gross profit, or my total cumulative gross profit, is going to be 400,000 times 20%, and then the amount of gross profit previously recognized is going to be 0 because we're in year 1 of the contract. So my total gross profit to be recognized for 2020 is going to be $80,000. So if I say here, A minus B equals C, letter D, I'm going to take C times D, it's going to be E, and then we'll call this F, E minus F equals G. So this is under the percentage of completion for 2020. So the next thing I'm going to look at here is under completed contract method. And under the completed contract method, similar to what I was doing here before, I kind of got my rules, is that we do not recognize any gross profit until the contract has been completed. However, we will go through and recognize all losses. Now, at this point in time, our total contract price is 1.9 million. Okay. And then over here, my total contract cost plus my estimated cost to complete. Sorry about that. I need to take Professor Massaro's Microsoft Excel class because it's awesome. So my total contract price plus my estimated cost to complete is at 1.5 million. So right over here, my total contract gross profit is going to be at $400,000. So at this point, I do not need to do anything under completed contract as we are at a profit. Okay. So we're not going to do anything here under the completed contract as we have a profit. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next year. So for our next year right here, so the percentage of completion for 2021. Okay, so over here, our total contract cost to date is going to be 1.2 million. So we can go ahead and kind of bring some of these down here. Okay, so we'll go right over here. So our total contract cost to date is 1.2 million. And then over here, our total contract cost to date plus the estimated cost to complete is 1.2 million plus 800,000. So right now, we've got 1.2 million divided by 2 million. So our contract percentage completion right here is at 60% completion. Okay. Now, the total contract price is, for this particular question, so our total contract price is still going to be 1.9 million, which has not changed. Okay. And our total contract cost to date plus the estimated cost to complete is going to be 2 million, and this is going to be H. So now we have a problem as the total cumulative loss, meaning that our contract cost to date plus the estimated cost to complete is going to be $100,000. Okay. So we have a cumulative loss, meaning that our total contract cost to date exceeds our total contract price. So we have a total cumulative loss of $100,000. So in this case right here, though, we have part of a problem. And what we have is right here is that our total gross profit previously recognized was $80,000. Okay. So back here previously in 2020, I recognized profit on this contract of $80,000. So what I'm going to need to do in this case right here is I'm going to need to do the amount of the loss to recognize in 2021 is going to be, and this 80,000 right here, this 80,000 is G. It's going to be 100,000 less this 80,000 or 180,000. Now, why does this why are we recognizing a loss of $180,000 in 2021? So in 2020, under the percentage of completion method, okay, we recognized an $80,000 profit. In 2021, we're recognizing a $180,000 loss. So my total cumulative loss is going to be this $80,000 plus the loss I'm recognizing this year, or $100,000. So I end up having to take more because my cumulative loss has to be over here at 80,000, or my cumulative loss needs to be at 100. I should not have recognized profit, but I did. So I have to take more of a loss this year to make up for that profit that I should not have taken now that my contract is at a loss. So when we're at a loss, it's important too that even though we may be 60% complete, when we're at a loss, we recognize all losses immediately. We have to make sure, right, we're accountants, we're conservative. I have to make sure that my total amount of my loss that I'm recognizing is going to be this total cumulative loss. So if we jump over here to the completed contract method, this is going to be for 2021. We kind of follow the same formula here, which is the total contract price, 1.9 million. I have my total contract cost to date, plus the cost to complete of 2 million. So my total contract loss is going to be $100,000. So because here I never recognized any profit previously in our completed contract, the amount of loss to recognize in 2021 for the completed contract method is going to be $100,000. Okay, so here's losses previously recognized, 0 because I recognized no losses last year. So my total contract loss for 2021 is going to be $100,000. Okay, so I've gotten to this part right over here of my total contract loss. Now, if I just kind of take a look at this here, if I'm going to complete this chart over here for these methods, and if I look at this here for 2020, this is completed contract. And I have here 0 for 2020, and I have negative 100,000 for 2021. If I look at this here, both of these now are in the same place. We both have a total cumulative loss. So the losses here is really where kind of things get a little bit more funky, but this is kind of the reason why we're kind of going through and looking at this comparison here to kind of help us out in terms of going through and analyzing this contract. Okay, so we now have our final year, which is this part right here in 2022. So now I've got my contract costs incurred to date are 2.1 million. My estimated cost to complete are 0. And again, I'm going to ignore the billing, and my total contract price is 1.9 million. So right over here for this 2022, okay, so for the 2022, under percentage of completion, okay, so I'm going to just kind of copy this part right here. So my total contract cost to date, okay, right over here, this is going to be 2.1 million. My total contract costs here, basically here, it's 2.1 million for 2022. And my estimated cost to complete the contract are 0. So right over here, I'm at 100% completion. So what I now need to do is I now need to say to myself here is like, okay, so my total contract price is 1.9 million, okay? My total contract cost plus my estimated cost to complete are going to be over here at 2.1 million. Okay. So my total contract loss is going to be at $200,000. So now what I'm going to go through and do is I'm going to say, okay, here's my contract loss. What did I do previously? Well, in 2020, I had over here, I had gross profit recognized in 2020 of 80,000. Then I had my loss recognized in 2021 of 180,000. So over here, my total contract loss to recognize in 2022 is going to be the 200,000 minus the 80,000 minus the 180. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to have a total here of 100,000. So the total contract loss I need to have here is 200,000. I did recognize profit in 2020. I recognized a loss here of 180. And let's come up with some good letters here. So I've got A. Okay, this is, we'll call this letter N. A minus N equals O. And then this 80,000 here was G. And then this is M. So if I do O minus G minus M, is going to give me P, which is a loss of $100,000. So if I go here and compare this to what I was doing for, if I take a look now at my completed contract method, what's going to happen here is under completed contract for 2022, what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be saying, okay, my total contract price is 1.9 million. My total amount of my total contract cost to date plus my estimate to complete is 2.1 million. So my total contract loss is going to be the same, or 200,000. What I'm going to do here, though, I'm going to say less the loss recognized in 2021, which here is going to be $100,000. So my contract loss for 2022 is going to be the 200,000 less than 100,000. So if I sit here now and kind of update my chart, in 2022, I took a loss here for the percentage of completion of another $100,000. And then here for my completed contract, it was another $100,000. So my total cumulative loss in both situations is going to be $200,000. So again, the key here is that under completed contract is I'm going to be recognizing profit if it's appropriate. However, under both methods, if I have a loss, I need to recognize such loss immediately. And so that's really what I went through and did under both of these methods. So hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a great one.